back. In Oregon, when people are incarcerated, they cannot vote, but the day they get out, they're eligible to vote. I think there's only one state in the United States that people still don't have the right to vote after a conviction. And so I don't know how you'd want to change that, but I for the sake of accuracy, because I know many people just believe that once you've been incarcerated, you can never vote again. And so we're trying to undo that myth around who can vote and who can't.
Great, thank you. So what we do at New Leaf is understanding these interconnected web that leads to compounded deprivation is we focus specifically on entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship has been shown to be the best way to improve household wealth. 37% of the wealth in the United States is held by entrepreneurs. And African Americans specifically are in the worst positions of entrepreneurship rates. We own the least businesses, and our businesses tend to be the least successful. And it actually gets worse with cannabis businesses that are very hard to fund and that you can't get traditional funding for. So we see a really great opportunity to take the funding that is available through these cannabis taxes and use it to impact directly the best lever for improving household wealth. If it is entrepreneurship, then how can we take that money and create entrepreneurs who are funded to levels that allow them to be successful? So these couple of stats are to further shore up that point. Various studies, and there's one from MIT here and one for the Center for Global Policy Studies that point out that lower levels of success rates or low levels of startup capital are the #1 impact on entrepreneurship success rates. And we can make a direct impact on that. We are making a direct impact on that with our New Leaf grants. Here's an example of that in terms of giving you some year one information about success rates. We have granted several businesses, 2 of which received our quote-unquote large grant of $30,000. And this is an example from one business how they were able to improve their business with that grant. We measure what they do with the money and then how that money impacts the business. And they've been able to hire employees, they've been able to improve their sales, all of which is good for cities. You know, this is the right thing to do, as Brandon said, but this is also good for the city's bottom line. The last thing I want to say is I really want to leave here thinking about year 3 and year 4. Kimye talked about the year 3 grant amount of $741,000 and some change, which is commensurate with the percentages that are being given across the 3 places that Brandon brought up before. We've got money going to police, essentially, as the city audit has pointed out, that the public safety amount is essentially going to police. We have money going to drug rehabilitation, and then we have money going to these communities that have been impacted by the war on drugs. And 80% of the funds are going to police. So I do want to, before I stop speaking, leave with the commission that imbalance is not what the voters intended and not going to address the issue we're trying to address. Giving 80% of funds to police really can only compound the rest in the situation we're trying to reverse. So I'd love to leave in front of the city thinking about the future, rebalancing those distributions.
Thank you. Mayor Wheeler has said that we're going to have a work session in the springtime to discuss that very issue. We're very well aware of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'd like to invite some of the year 1 grantees up to speak to their work.
Welcome.
I'd like to invite POIC, MPD, Metropolitan Public Defenders, and please. And we can start, just state your name for the record.
Oh man, it is on me. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Thank you guys for having me. My name is Charles Manigo, and I am here on behalf of POIC. I am the Career Leadership Coordinator. apprenticeship trades program that we have going on there. And just real briefly, I don't know if you guys are familiar with POIC. We have been a fixture in the community for over 50 years, primarily in the northeast and north part of Portland, where we specialize in primarily getting African Americans and other low-income minorities, job placement, education, things of that nature. The reason I am here is to talk about the cannabis grant and how important it is to our program. And one of the biggest things that it's been able to do for us is help us with support services, which helps for our retention purposes for our program. Our program is 12 weeks long, and once completion is done from our program, our graduates go into state accredited apprenticeship opportunities. We've served 52 people approximately. Out of those 52 people, excuse me, I have to look at this. 31 have been African American males, 9 have been Hispanic males, 6 have been African American females, 1 has been a Native American female, 3 have been Hispanic females, and 2 have been Caucasian males. Of those 52, 43 are currently enrolled in accredited state apprenticeship opportunities, and of the 43, 34 are making $31 an hour or more, and the other 9 are making $23 an hour or more. And the reason that is important is because with this cannabis grant, we've been able to help 7 of our folks get driver's licenses, because that's a huge barrier and a huge obstacle that we face. If our folks don't have a driver's license, they may be on out of work list longer than folks who do have driver's licenses. We've helped 4 people with child care, which is really huge. We pay our folks by the hour, but it's not enough to cover things like child care, driver's license. We've paid for 4 of our folks auto insurance because of this grant as well. We've pretty much been able to do anything associated with getting our folks to work. And that is huge, because we have a lot of other barriers and obstacles that we have to face from some of the youth that we serve. And it's the demographic that we primarily target. It's no secret that they've been marginally affected by cannabis laws. One young lady, as a matter of fact, was recently, well, not recently, but she was released from prison at the end of last year. She came to us, wanted to be in our program, but she had a lot of barriers. She had recently lost custody of her son because she was in prison. Just her family trajectory was really kind of all over the place, but we were able to reassure her that, we would be able to help her as long as she was helping herself. And because of the cannabis grant, we were able to get her child care, we got her driver's license, set up a bank account, we got her set up with financial literacy classes as well, which is something that we just simply wouldn't be able to take care of if we didn't have access to this money. So I don't want to be too long-winded, and I actually feel like this is kind of a big deal. I feel like I'm on CNN, Oh man, this is huge. Yeah, but we are really appreciative of the cannabis grant. We hope dearly for the life of our program that this is something that will continue.
Charles, I wanted to thank you for being here today. You did great.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for kind of illuminating the kind of support services that you're providing, because we know that not addressing these barriers is a huge pitfall to a lot of these programs, and it's why we see such poor retention rates. And if you're truly aiming to serve marginalized communities or underserved communities, it's not enough to just say, come get the knowledge. Because they're, as you described, there are a lot of barriers to simply showing up.
Yes, ma'am.
So, very supportive and thrilled to hear about those 43.
Yes, 43.
That's more money an hour than I made before I got this
Oh,
job.
man.
So.
If I was making that amount of money we served the ages between 17 and 24. If I was, 23 years old and I made $30 an hour or more, I don't even know.
It's good to keep working in that profession, right? Commissioner Honesty.
Thank you, Madam President. I think the message I'm getting from your presentation, Charles, is having a pot of flexible resources that you can use to address specifically, directly, the barriers that people are encountering is vital to the success of getting people through pre-apprenticeship to a good family wage, union wage employment opportunity.
Yes, ma'am.
And one question I had for you is that if someone was gonna try to do this themselves, there's an $80 fee that's paid to the state police. There's a $265 application fee. Do these funds allow you to assist people in expunging their record?
We have other services within the organization that would allow that to happen, yes. Not particularly pre-apprenticeship, but under the umbrella of POIC, absolutely.
I asked that question because clearly there's some professions that with some of these things on your record, you would never be able to get into. Clearly the answer is for the state legislature to pass a law that just expunges people's records across the board. We're not there yet, but until we do that, it is important that we provide all the assistance we can directly to folks, as $345 is a lot of money to most people, right? So if you're trying to choose between feeding your family or getting expungement, you're gonna feed your family first. So I just wanna applaud the work that you're doing and the intentionality around really providing those wraparound supports that help people just focus on getting the training they need for a living wage employment opportunity. Thank you.
Welcome.
Who's next?
Hi, my name is Michael Zhang, and I work at the Metropolitan Public Defender. And just to go off the last comment, Commissioner Hardesty, fees are, as you stated, enormous, and they're actually, in most cases, much more. The $265 filing fee is just per conviction, and the median number of convictions that I would estimate is 3 or 4 at least. And even, you see people with like many more than that convictions. And so in order to expunge someone's whole record, the figure would be like astronomical if there was a fee waiving process in place. In any case, my name is, as I said, Michael Zhang, and I work in the Metropolitan Public Defender's Office in its Community Law Division. And the goal of this division was to establish holistic defense, which is where we would address someone's all of their needs rather than just their need for criminal defense. Our goal is to provide a wraparound civil legal services to people who are or have been involved previously in the criminal justice system. And we believe that by doing so, we can lower barriers to people's reentry into the community and into the workforce. In 2018, we received funding from the city of Portland to establish legal clinics throughout the city to assist people in the expungement of past criminal records. A past criminal conviction, as we heard today, can be a person's biggest barrier to gaining employment or housing and even higher education. For many, a prior cannabis-related conviction may be their most significant barrier as well. And as we reform our cannabis laws, we're glad to see that. There's also funding to help people who have been impacted in the past. This year, Community Law Division, through the marijuana grant, and just with just with its campus grant, screened 1,031 individuals, including 351 Black identifying individuals for expungement eligibility. The criteria for expungement is very complex, and so people are rarely able to understand the law on their own. And so when we're talking about cost, it's not just the cost of filing fees, but in fact, usually people would hire a lawyer to do this, and the lawyer in the Portland area would charge at least $1,000 to $3,000 to handle anyone's particular case. And it's due to the